Hey, 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 I am so excited because I'm going to welcome back Dr. Carolyn Factor. I can't say that name. She's going to help me. Falconer Horn to my show. When I first found out about her, I was intrigued, but I quickly found out she has the one thing you need as a teacher, a passion to make the student get better. And she really means that. So, without any further ado, boom, 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 welcome to the show. Hey,
Hi. Happy New
how's it going?
Year.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's a new year. I'm very excited.
How was Christmas and New Year's?
We had a really nice time. I mean, it was small, but it was just great.
Tom Brewstar just joined us. It must be, and you are so important to Tom's decided to join. Hey, Tom!
Hi, Tom.
Marina and Paul Quillen and Salute and Susan.
Hi,
Man,
everyone.
Jerry,
Happy New
the
Year.
world famous Jerry Wald.
Hi, Jerry.
So, how did you get in speech? How did you get in this thing that you do?
So, you know how you say that people were born to do things and have a purpose? I've sort of always felt that this was my purpose. And it wasn't specific to aphasia, but it was specific to speech. I was born as an older sister to my sister Kelly, who is amazing and smart and very articulate, but she was born with a cleft lip and palate.
Really?
Yeah. And very few people could understand her. And I always did. And so I started young.
You know, I seem to remember that, but to be honest with you, I've forgotten that part of your story.
Yeah.
So your interest developed very quickly.
Yes. I kind of knew I wanted to do something that helped people. And as many people do, they start thinking they're supposed to be a medical doctor. So when I went to college, I was really aiming towards pre-med. But linguistics came along as an option for a elective, and I fell in love with it. And it just all came back like about how much I love speech and communication, and that was it. So my undergrad major switched to linguistics and human services. Then I got a master's in speech pathology. And then I practiced for a while, maybe, about 10 years. And then I went back for a PhD.
Wow. You know, I have a PhD too.
In what?
I was poor, hungry, and driven.
Pretty much where I
was. So show the dog.
I know she just like is so attached to me. She can't seem to be away from me. That's Rosalina.
Rosalina, did you teach her speech?
No, not at all.
Brad said, "Hey now."
Hey now.
And so you went to your back to school, and what was the purpose of you going back to school?
So I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time, and my brain thought it would be exciting to have adult conversation again.
That's funny. That is really funny.
But during the time that I was having the kids, I was home as a stay-at-home mom for a bit, and I started just reading a lot of research. Like you said this morning, you're like, wait, let's research. I did that.
I'm telling you.
And I started reading about all these techniques that were new at the time. So this is around 2007-ish, maybe. And I was really intrigued by like constraint-induced aphasia therapy and neuroplasticity.
Slow down. What did you say?
At the time, there was a therapy that was relatively new. And it was called, it's evolved and it's called something else now. But at the time, it was called constraint-induced aphasia therapy.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So the principle behind it, and it's now called something else. Its new acronym is ILAT, which is Intensive Language Action Therapy.
Huh. Okay.
So it's you know, transformed over time. But I still love the principles, and it's based on principles of neuroplasticity. And it encourages what we call experience-dependent neuroplasticity by saying that you have to have good experiences in order to learn. That's what learning is. It's our experiences building together to learn anything. That's how anyone learns. And so experience-dependent neuroplasticity could be good speech therapy interventions, right? That could help you to accelerate new production of dendrites and axonal connections and things like that, and have other parts of your brain reconnect that used to not do a specific function, now take over and do that. So the way that therapy worked was it was in a group, and they kind of played a go fish game, but it doesn't have to be done by that game. What has to happen is that you have to insist that the person use speech. So the constraint is to the speech modality.
Okay.
And that was the constraint part of it. And then that doesn't mean we don't help or give cues or assist. It's not mean, which sometimes people took it as a negative. But
you know why? People tend to take things as a negative that they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really good that you're explaining it. And because I believe the mind was meant to chase things down. It wants to be active. It wants to pursue.
It can't help but do that.
Exactly.
So what happens is the other end of the coin, which I also learned when I was learning about constraint-induced aphasia therapy, is the other way the brain will go is learned helplessness. You learn not to do things for yourself. You learn not to try to speak anymore. You learn to turn to your partner and say, you know what I mean, you say it.
Exactly.
So the brain's going to learn something, but we want it to learn how to speak again.
I was asked along the way through my aphasia journey that when you went out with your kids, they helped you, and they didn't, because I wanted to do it myself. They watched me struggle, but I would stand there and somehow, some way, get my point across. So I was trying to get better, and we would sit down, and my son would say this or this and try to get me to help, but they let me struggle, and struggling helped me find success.
Yeah, so many people respond to that type of thing differently, and you really need to find out what is motivating for your particular client and what is discouraging to them. So for you, I would have given you a lot more time to try. And then at a certain point, I might have said, do you want help now?
Exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of people do get more success with what we call the latency, which is the longer period of time.
Latency means giving an extended period of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can be used in a positive way or a negative way. We could say, you know, his response was latent in that it took much longer than a typical person to say it. Or we can say, like, with an allowed latency, his speech improves.
Huh. Did anybody ever bring to your attention that you're really smart? You don't have to. Really smart. I love talking to you.
Thank you.
More than you know, because I view this, I'm doing the interview, but I'm learning. So
I see you taking notes.
You know, I always take notes. Your worst ink pen is better than your best memory. Write it down.
Wow.
So that's a philosophy of mine I had for years and years and years. So what do you say to people? We talked about this last year, but I continue to see people that have been given no hope. Or if you don't learn anything in the first year, so what? No. Or you have to settle for a new normal, or you're going to have to take it down a notch. Paul, you will never be able to speak again, not like you used to. I'm a better speaker today than I was before I had my stroke, because
in a different way.
No, because I talk so fast, people couldn't understand me. I watched that video now. I said, "Oh my God!" I
do that
a million miles a minute.
I do that too, and you know why I do it? Because I'm afraid I'm going to forget what I'm going to say.
Well, that's another thing. 3 rules in my house. My kid and my husband have to give me 3 times to get the word out before they can help. Brooke Allen is a rock and roll superstar, one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. She is a hero to me and just such a courageous person.
What's amazing about what Brooke says here is that she set a boundary with what she's comfortable with, but also gave her kids the ability to help her when she's ready. So she made the 3 times and then you can help. So she's advocating for herself, but also allowing people to help her. So she's empowering herself and her children to help.
So I just found out that Casey is watching the show. I'm working with Casey. How did you feel about that video you watched?
Oh, is Casey the one who was saying, "I love you" to her daughters?
That's her, Casey.
Tears. Casey, I got tears. What a beautiful thing to be able to do and say. I know they knew already that you loved them, but it's nothing like for a mom being able to say that, and a dad too, right, Paul? To be able to say, "I love you. You're the best."
I miss you. And Casey just took her car out for the first time and unassisted and got gas and drove it back to the house. I'm so proud of her.
Good job.
She's making a rock star, revolution in her home, in her own life. I get so excited. Imagine that. I love to teach, but what do you say about people that discourage others?
So we talked about this a lot the last time, and I think people, well, I like to think that people don't set out to like completely rob you of your hope. I think they're saying it out of ignorance is what I'm hoping. And that they haven't seen good recoveries. So they don't know how much is possible, or they haven't dived into the research to see that people many, many years post-stroke can still continue to improve. Like they don't know, and they pass on old knowledge or what they think is their experience. But a lot of like the doctors you see, like in an emergency situation, you probably don't follow them up over the course of the years. You go to a new doctor, a different neurologist who sees you as you recover. And I think the doctors at the hospital are like, okay, well, he was here for 5 days and he didn't get better. So
exactly,
they think you don't get better, but it's just not true. And the other thing I really want to point out is that, for example, you said someone once got homework and it was the same homework for an entire year. That unless you're getting new inputs and that good experience dependent plasticity enhancing kind of learning, you're not going to improve. So you have to keep upping the expectations and the game. So if you're with a speech pathologist who you've been with for a long time and you're not progressing, I usually say it's time to go to a new speech therapist because they emptied their bag of tricks and they don't know what to do with you anymore.
Or they're just boring. And boring people don't make for great teachers.
Yeah, and to be honest, one thing you guys should know is that speech pathology is a very wide-ranging field. We cover all aspects of speech, language, cognition, swallowing, and many things across the lifespan. So, right. We can work with babies who can't feed. We can work with people on ventilators. We work across the lifespan with a variety of things, school-age children, stuttering, voice, all of that. So to be honest, no one speech pathologist can be amazing at everything.
Probably. I'm just focused on getting people to talk. You have so much more knowledge than I do. That's why I'm taking notes, because I'm going to learn. Hold the camera up. I'm confused. But I believe that enthusiasm is so much important. When I teach, we have so much fun. We laugh and we have a good time together. And I believe that the student is ready when the teacher appears.
Yeah. Wait, does it go the other way?
It does, but listen, no, listen.
Say it again.
When you teach speech, a student is hungry for the knowledge. The teacher has to appear, to be hungry, to want to get better, to want the student to get better. It's both. And I taught that for years as the other way around, but in my opinion, so much is predicated on the teacher being ready to teach the student. The student is already hungry. They want to talk. They want to talk.
That is so true. And one thing we should also talk about a little bit is the fact that some people have a lot of trouble at first getting to verbalizations, right? So what do you do then? Like those people are not ready for something like constraint-induced aphasia therapy, right? They cannot. You would say 1, 1, 1, 1, right?
Exactly. And
Avi said Michael, Michael, right? Avi would say Michael, Michael. So when people are at the beginning and that's where they're at, you can't jump towards Jerry. I'll address that. I want to say something about that. But when people are at a point where they can only say like a very stereotypical type of phrase or utterance or only a couple of words, that's when you really do want to encourage people to use all modalities to speak.
Example.
So there's a program called PACE, which is promoting aphasics communicative effectiveness.
You're so smart. Okay.
Just a bunch
acronym for everything.
So this one is about using any and every way you can to communicate. So this one's more about communication than about language coming out. So if you have to draw it, if you have to point to it, if you have to get up and show it to the person, by any means necessary, get your point across to decrease that frustration. Then once your therapist knows what you're trying to talk about, they can help you to get the words out. And we have many different ways to do that as well.
Good. So how much does the person's interest apply to speech therapy? When I sat down with Casey, I knew she wanted to remember her children's name and say them in order and tell them that she loved them. So we worked hard on that. And the joy that we got when she was able to do that, I was in tears. She was in tears. And it's just so amazing. So what's the point of that approach?
Well, there's a lot of names for that in our field. And probably the easiest one is to call it person-centered therapy.
Okay.
And it should be about, what the person's pre-morbid, pre-illness interests were, what their priorities are now, and something achievable so that they can feel that success. Because I think success breeds success. Look at you were just talking, right? So now she's out like, wait a minute, if I could say my daughter's names and all this, I'm going to try that car again. And
exactly.
Right. And then it breeds more and more and more attempts, which breeds more excitement, and it just becomes a positive cycle.
Exactly. Because I think enthusiasm and excitement to learn is everything. And when I sat down for my first speech lesson, I was so thankful that I had Christina. She sat me down. She said, most people give up.
They do. Some people do.
And she said, she wrote down on a piece of paper, do you want to talk again? Yes or no? Check the box. And I said, yes. And she said, well, let's do it then.
That's
and
great.
She was the first person that said, oh, you can talk. And then I got a hold of Tom Broussard's video. My mom has sent that to me and said, this guy, he can talk. He had aphasia. He's doing presentations. So she wore my inbox out with Tom Broussard.
Well, that's not the worst thing you can get in your inbox.
Exactly. It's the best because it gave me a glimpse of progress. What was possible? And that's all I needed to know. What was possible?
Yeah. And so that's why it's so great to have so many of you guys out there sharing your journeys and showing that it can improve, because you're waking up people who have had strokes a long time ago that are like, wait a minute, why didn't anybody tell me that? How are you doing it? What are you doing? I want to do it,
Carolyn, what's the, I just wanted to ask that right. What's the most important thing for a person with aphasia? Yeah, I like to have fun, but this is a god-awful disease.
I can only imagine.
For a person to have their gifts ripped away from them, they can't talk, they can't read, they can't write. And all of a sudden, that basic need for communication is gone. And the love of family and friends somewhat is gone too when they don't even leave, when they stay there, but you can't talk.
I know.
So what would you tell a person? What is the most important step? Because I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing this, and I hope that we'll be able to work together moving forward. I want that too. You know that. But what's the most important thing? Because till my mind was right, I was not right. I was very depressed when I had aphasia. Early onset, I was just devastated. So what would you tell somebody?
Yeah. So first of all, I tell them it makes total sense to feel that way. I would be the same way. I mean, language is my life, as was yours. So it does affect some people like us who are very language oriented very much differently than it might someone who's more quiet, introverted, and does different types of activities. So people have different disabilities from the same impairment. But back to your original question, I've spent so many times just holding someone's hand and telling them it's going to get better. Mm-hmm. This is the worst. Wow. This is the worst it's going to be. It will get better. It's not going to get worse. So for people who have had strokes or traumatic brain injuries, things like that, it should not get worse. There are some progressive conditions, and there are people who have tumors and things like that where theirs will get worse. And then I can't even say that to them. All I can say to them then is, I'm going to help you to maintain this as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But for someone like you, where your trajectory should only be upward, I would absolutely tell you this is the worst it's going to get. I know it's horrible right now. We're going to find some things that work, and we're going to push, and each day you're going to get better, and you will see a difference. But
say that again. You will see a difference.
Yeah, you'll see a difference.
What a wonderful thing to say and hear.
Yeah. And another thing I tell people all the time is don't listen. Some people are going to tell you some old knowledge about 6 months or a year being the end. I say to them, don't listen to that. I said, I personally have seen amazing recoveries. I've seen it myself. It does happen. You can do that.
I believe you can do anything, but I'm naive. I just don't know enough not to believe it.
Well, I've spent a lot of time studying it, and I believe it too. So I'm naive, and I want to be.
Yeah, me too. I approach my life with childlike wonder, and who knows when funny thing, I learned to talk backwards and forwards. Watch. I hereby promise, hereby I. Backwards and forwards. If you can learn it forwards, you can learn it backwards. I understand how you feel. Feel you how understand I. Recently, in placement in the brain creates plastic points of light that you can connect phrases and little things, and it just works.
That's cool.
So anyway,
I've never heard of that done before.
I don't know. I'm a little bit crazy, but that's okay.
Well, those are the people who advance fields, right? They must have thought Elon Musk was crazy.
They did, and they still do, as they wish they had invested Tesla earlier.
Tom, I have seen your book and I love it. Thank you so much for the personalized.
Wait a minute. What?
All right, and I'm going to answer Jerry's question too.
Hey, Tom, your book on display at my house.
I have mine on my mantle.
So answer Jerry's question.
Yeah, Jerry said, I've learned that I should not interrupt people with aphasia. And I guess he was looking for a response to that. So kind of like we were talking about before, I think it's individual. Some people need help. But like with Brooke, she wants a chance to do it herself a few times before the help. Other people don't want any help. They'd rather drop it. And that's a choice that you can make. And maybe it'll come back later and then they can tell you about it. And then other people, especially in therapy, they want the help because they want to get it out. But as Tom said, I saw in the comments too, that struggle that you mentioned, Paul, yep. It's so important that your brain does the work. So when I cue people and help them, what I try to do is as little as possible to help them get it out. Because there's so many ways to help somebody. And the more that you make, hi, Dorothy, I miss you guys. Say hi to Kevin. The more that you have the person with aphasia's brain doing the work, the better it is for their experience-dependent plasticity. So, for example, let's say there's a word you couldn't say.
Okay.
And you were trying to get it out.
Accomplishment.
Okay, well, you just said it just fine.
I hated that word.
Right. So, but let's say you couldn't say it in line, and I kind of knew in the course of the conversation what it was you were trying to say. Like the least helpful cue to you is the most helpful cue. Give me a minute. So if I tell you,
the least helpful is the most.
You're like, wait a minute.
I got it. The least help, like slowing down to speed up.
Yeah. So like the more I give you, like that's helpful, the less you have to do. Huh. So the most helpful cue for me to give to you is the least helpful cue. So if you can't say accomplishment and I say, look at me, watch how I say it, say accomplishment, that's giving you everything. You didn't have to do anything.
Exactly.
So if I bring it down and I say, it's like achievement, it's a accomplishment, like you might finish it then, right? Exactly. Or right. So if I give you cues, so let's say accomplishment's kind of hard. It's usually more of a noun situation. So let's say can't say
my, me, my, of, I. Those words.
Pronouns, those little function words. Yeah. That's typically the hardest for people with non-fluent aphasia like you.
Oh my God.
You know, so there's many types of aphasia. So there's also many different things you have to tackle to get over all of those different types of aphasia. Yeah. So Jerry, so some people want the help right away. Some people don't. Just ask that person what they prefer. So let's go back to the noun thing, right? Let's say you're trying to get out the noun, maybe something we don't say very often would be more difficult. Like, I can't think of a word. Oh, see. Like decorations, because we just had holidays or something, right?
Decorations.
Right? So let's say you want to say to me, I put up my Christmas decorations. And so what happens is you say to me, I want to put up those, you know, the thing and the,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
right? So that could be something that would happen.
We have that all the time.
Right. So first of all, that's great because you're using those, like we were talking about, other modalities of communication. And that might give the person that you're talking to the hint of what you're talking about. So let's say, okay, after I see what you're doing that, yes, Tom, exactly. So let's say I see you doing that. I have to put up those, and I have now figured it out from you making the swag and the little picture of the lights, and I know it's the holiday season. So I know you want to say decorations, right? So I could say to you something like, you want to put up the Christmas deck and then leave the rest for you to get.
Okay.
Or
so do you believe in like deck, at, shuns,
yeah, but that's giving more help. So I would do that after. I try all the lesser cues first.
Okay. The lesser cues first.
Right. So another thing you might be able to do is like, oh, I know you want to put up things for Christmas. What are some of those things we put up for Christmas? And we could name similar things. So you could tell me, give me something that you put up for Christmas.
Ornaments.
Right, ornaments. And I might say, great. And I put up lights. And you're like, I put up my tree. And I'm like, and all of those things are a
Snow Village.
Yeah, the Snow Village. I love those.
I do too.
And right. And so then we name all those things that are part of this category. And I say, you know, we've just described a bunch of things in a category of Christmas. Things we put around the house. Can you think of a word for that? And then you might, after those exercises, be able to say decorations because we've stimulated all of the network of decorations.
Can I ask you a question? I just did a session with somebody last week, and I selected 6 items, and I held it up, and I said, use it in a sentence. They did. And I said, turn it into a story. I was amazed, like activated all these stories. Right. We took 6 items. We had a nonstop hour communication that was really good, that seemed to activate something in their mind, was really good. So how do you feel about that type of training?
I think that's a great exercise, and it can be so creative. There's no wrong answer. So when you give like open-ended, yeah, when you give open-ended questions and experiences like that, you allow people to just, you know, play with language and not make it so high stakes. Like there's something I got to say, it's a target and I can't get the target. Like this way, like there's so many ways they could be successful. And I think that sounds like a great fun activity.
Well, we had a blast doing it. And she began to connect words that we've been working on in her description of these other items. And I was really taking notes on that. And so I was really intrigued by that and what it helped her to do. So what would you say to somebody? Laura, Bo said she has trouble with S-blends, and Brooke said that too, and T's. What would you suggest to begin to work on your S-blends or T-blends?
So that may be, so aphasia in its pure form is a language disorder, even though there's several types of it, right? And we all always say language is affected, but not intellect. But depending on how an actual injury in the brain lands and where it affects, it can cause some additional disorders to come with it, including some speech disorders. And we distinguish in speech pathology between speech and language. Language is our symbol-based communication system.
Language is your symbol-based communication system, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
So using words to stand for ideas and thoughts, right? So words are symbols.
Okay.
Now, speech is the way it comes out. So things like pronunciation and prosody, which is the intonation of your speech, and fluency and voice, and
everybody wants to get their flow and fluency back. I worked on it so hard. I'm still working, but we want it back.
Right. So what I'm wondering, and I don't know for sure, is that when people are telling us they're having specific sound problems, if they might not have an accompanying disorder, like an apraxia of speech or a dysarthria, which are different types of motor speech.
Yeah, I had all three. Bless my heart. Aphasia, motor apraxia, and dysarthria. Yeah, so, I believe in going all in.
Well, yeah, so if it's apraxia of speech, okay, apraxia of speech will have symptoms where the sound disorders will be inconsistent. It won't always be the same sounds that are a problem. And the more complex what you're trying to say is, the more difficult it is. So like we have tests where like you start with words like, book and key, and they go down to like Methodist Episcopal, right? So when you get down to like the Methodist Episcopal, people with—
What did you say? What? The method is—
It's a Christian denomination, the Methodist Episcopal.
The Methodist Episcopal
Church, yeah.
Church.
But it's actually on a test. I think it's the Boston Diagnostic Aphasia exam. That's one of the actual, like, it gets harder and harder and harder. And you're going down to like, you're like, repeat after me. Key. Key. And then very quickly we're like, I bought 5 bottles of liquid detergent at the grocery store. Like,
I did that. Like I started, I should go to, I should go to the movies, I should go to the movies, and I should go to the movies and buy. So I should go to the movies and buy some popcorn and a drink and have fun with my friends and go out to the beach later on, build a bonfire and have a celebration, walking in the waves. I did that.
I feel
over again.
I feel like I'm in When Harry Met Sally, and I'm like, I want what he's having. That sounds fun.
So how much does inflection, pausing, cadence help? Because I teach my students to say things loud, soft, goofy voice sing. Loud, soft, goofy voice sing. Loud, soft, goofy voice sing. Over and over and over. And so, for instance, say, be happy to.
Be happy to.
Say it loud.
Be happy to.
Say it soft.
Happy to.
Goofy voice.
Be happy to.
Sing.
Be happy to.
If you do that over and over and over again, it activates the thing. You must do a different goofy voice each time. Be happy to. Be happy to. Be happy to. Must sing it differently. That activates many points of light in memory for you to say it.
So that's interesting. I'm trying to think, like, if I know of any theories that would explain why that might be useful.
If theory, according to Paul. TAP. The TAP theory. Theory according to Paul.
We should study
TAP theory. Exactly. We'll make a study out that. You can write the white paper. Boom.
Wrong PhD for that.
You can do it. You can do anything. You know that.
Well, what I suspect is happening a little bit there is a few things. So A, you're still doing repetition, which is always helpful. And you're making practice like more fun and
Turn it up for a change.
Right. But like I have read some articles about people learning a second language or about children learning language. And sometimes when they hear things in different voices, it helps them generalize language. So I'm wondering if it's pulling into something related to that.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that there's
the Boston test. Sorry, Susan doesn't like that one.
I got it. I just had to put that up. I do believe that there's something to be said with the inner commitment of like phrases that can be used in a multitude of ways.
Yes, and that's one of the things I like to work on first too. It started with me when I was a much younger speech pathologist and I had early intervention kids, their birth to 3. And I used to be like, okay, these kids can't say anything. What would be the most useful words for them? And I came up with more, right, for them to be able to say more like they want it again, or want, like I want something. And then we could work off there. So those were always the 2 words I started with babies. But with adults, it's different, and they can help you figure out what is an appropriate bunch of first most useful phrases.
Yeah, I believe that. Can I think I know, but I'm going to ask you because you're the expert. Why? No. You are. Own it. Own it. Own it. Okay. Why is it so hard to say the simplest word, functional words like I, me, my, why?
Well, there is a reason for that. And that is because when we learn how to put words together into sentences, to use syntax and grammar, think of how we develop as children. We first start by naming the objects and the things and the actions we want people to do for us and all that stuff, right? And then we superimpose in that all those little words.
It's not learned. It's just acknowledged and by observation, right?
Yeah, that's what babies do. They're pattern followers. They discover patterns and learn how to use them. Yeah, that's how you learn to speak, by listening to patterns and figuring it out. So what the area of the brain that does the syntax is Broca's area.
Okay.
It helps us form connected, properly formed, syntactically correct, connected speech.
Man, you're so good at being smart. I'm telling you, keep talking.
So when Broca's area is damaged, and I'm assuming that that was damaged in your case and anyone else who has a non-fluent aphasia, also sometimes called an expressive aphasia, also sometimes just called like a Broca's type aphasia, but there's a few non-fluent aphasias. When Broca's area is down, you still have your content words once you've recovered a little bit at least, right? The content words come back faster and easier. and the functors become the little enemies within.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They're like assassins. They ruin your speech. Boom! You can't say that.
Yeah, like they knocked out all the functor ducks at the carnival.
I would talk in my mind. I was saying those literal functor words, but I wasn't saying them.
I always find that so interesting because I can't be in someone's head.
It was so annoying because I would say something and somebody would look at me like, "What did you say?" I said, "Huh?"
I said it.
Exactly. But I couldn't say, "I said it," said it, said it. I couldn't say I said it.
Yeah.
And now it was just god awful annoying.
Yeah.
So
let me tell you the opposite of that, which I don't think people talk about a lot, which is people who don't understand. So people with more of a Wernicke's aphasia or a receptive aphasia.
Yep.
They don't understand. So what's spared for them, Broca's area did not go down, is, yes, Sharon, totally, you're right. Sharon is the smart person. Yeah. she taught me.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon taught me everything.
Really?
But it's true. Yeah, there's a lot less context, right? We don't have all of that, as she says perfectly. I think function words also have less help from the content or the meaning of the words than nouns and verbs. Totally true. Yeah, Sharon was my PhD supervisor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Sharon.
And she runs the Moss Rehab Center in Philadelphia, the aphasia therapy program there.
Oh.
Well, now she's made me all like embarrassed. I'm afraid to say anything wrong.
No, just say it.
But anyway, so well, what I wanted to say was about Wernicke's aphasia, right? So in that case, Broca's area is not impaired. You know, there is the case where both are impaired, but in this case, let's say Broca's area is not impaired and Wernicke's area is. People do not lose function words. They do not lose grammaticality. They lose content. So I would need to play you. It's something I cannot imitate because it's so full of like made up words and nonsense words.
Really?
But if you look at the construction of the sentences, they are grammatically correct. They just don't make any sense.
I got it.
So it's two different parts of the brain that do the grammaticality versus the content words.
You know, Bo said that I leave words out in writing too.
Okay.
And I did that too.
Yeah.
And it just, I still struggle with my writing, and I'm working on it every day by doing writing exercises an hour a day. I force myself to write on a subject an hour without notes. Write and write and write and write and write. I'm getting better. Practice, perfect practice makes better. But you have to write. So,
well, that's totally true. And so some of the aphasias, you know, include writing problems and some don't. We have different modalities in our brain, and they can break down differently. So you can have someone who can write but not be able to speak, or speak but not be able to write, or you can have someone where both break down fairly evenly. To me, the most interesting one is when people can write, but they can't read. So they'll write something and they can't read what they just wrote.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's all these dissociations in how the brain can break down in language.
You know, Carolyn, Yvonne said that the way you got flustered with your teacher was the way we respond to aphasia. You know?
I'm like,
Like, oh.
Like Sharon's watching. I can't say anything. Just interview her.
Oh, that's so funny. So
yeah, so Bill Connors, right? We were talking
I love Bill Connors.
Before we started the public part of this, we were talking about Bill. And yeah, subject, verb, object is just, you know, our standard English components of a sentence, and that are having those essential units will make your speech be more complete. I think that's the best way to say that.
So I'm going to ask you a question, maybe unfair, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
I see that little bit. Oh no, Paul is on the loose. If I said to you, do you believe in setting goals for words learned in a week? Because I do.
It's so different than how we're taught to think about goals that it kind of jars me.
So I set a goal every week to add 75 words to my vocabulary. 75 words. Then the first week of the month, add 75 words. Second week, use it in a phrase. Third week, use it in a sentence. Fourth week, write a story.
I think that's great.
75 words.
I can't even learn 75 words a day.
No, I said in a week.
In a week, 10 words a day. That's a lofty goal. But
well, I started with 2.
Yeah, and you've upped it since then?
Well, a lot. You know, 31 months of having aphasia, being annoyed is enough. So I believe we can do anything, but I just, we have to have that faith to overcome our fear. And, well, we all miss Bill a lot, Susan. And yeah. Laura said, I love all this amazing information. Well, that's Sharon being a good teacher to Carolyn. So what would you say about this? When you lose your willingness to learn, when you get upset, when you have tried and you're about to quit, what would you say to anybody?
You know, this is hard because whether it's about language or aphasia or any kind of goal setting, for me, I can relate to it on like trying to lose weight or something like that. What I've learned is I have to just, all right, if I'm feeling that way, like I want to quit, I think I can't do it anymore, I let myself feel that for a little while. And then I tell myself, all right, pity party, you got to try again. Because it's very easy for me to say to somebody like you, if you were my patient, to say, if you keep working every day, this is going to improve. But if I don't do that myself, I'm not going to get anywhere. So I know that that's a very powerful thing, that you have to keep getting up and trying again and working.
I want to say this to Bo. Hey, Bo, congratulations on your 4th stroke anniversary. And I am proud of you, and you doing so well. I just wanted to acknowledge that. So I just want to talk to you for like ever, because I'm learning. No, I'm telling you, I'm learning so much. You know, aphasia sucks. It does. But we don't have to give up. We don't have to quit. You never give in, never give up, and never give out. And we have a lot going for us.
Yeah, I mean, you're a great example, and the way that you're able to push yourself is, I think, probably more unique than you think it is, because a lot of people don't have that kind of intrinsic motivation to keep pushing, and they don't know how to practice. They're like, well, what do I do to practice? They need like specific instructions of what to do each day to like continue. And you just assigned yourself things one after the other. You're like, I'll learn to say it backwards. I'll say it in different voices.
Yeah.
I'll, challenge for 7
inflection points, cadence, pause, all these things. Yep.
And
I was born to do that. That's what I did.
Yeah, but a lot of people weren't, and it's not intuitive to them.
Exactly.
And sometimes, even as a speech pathologist, if you give people homework, and even if you say, okay, well, I'll even check in with you on text every day. I'll be like, did you do it? Text me what you said, text me. They're like, after a few days, they're like, done. They get bored. And that's not working. So then as a speech pathologist, you have to try to think of something else. And then there's just something about them that goes, oh, this is too hard. And that's a part where I don't know how to break that.
Yeah. Well, I believe for me to tell you anything, but I believe that can be broken by fostering a series of pattern interrupts. You can learn to scratch the pattern.
That's what they need to do.
Where it doesn't play the same way. Kill the monster while it's little.
Yes.
Kill the monster while it's little. But if you don't, you will proceed and learn helplessness.
I was just going to say, and that'll bring you to learn helplessness.
Exactly.
And you give up and you don't say anything, and you just
exactly. So you just have to learn, but that can be an acquired trait. And I've been teaching that all my life. And thinking of awareness, I'm working with a different client right now. I'm telling you, she is totally aware when she says something wrong, like instantaneous awareness. She stops and corrects herself and won't leave that till she says it right. And I was much like that. But I believe...
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things I believe, we're running over time and I don't care. No, it's okay. The conversation is too good with you. And I so much admire you and respect you. And I'm so value to call you my friend. So
I feel the same.
Thank you. So one of the things that I believe we need to be better at giving people tools to learn, because I had no tools.
Yeah.
I had no tools. I was 7 weeks before I had my first speech lesson. 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And
that's not ideal.
I believe that Tom's book needs to be given out to everybody that has aphasia in the hospital and take it with them.
I know.
Because, a lack of information kills you.
Yeah, and in some cases it really can. I have known people who have gotten very depressed, and
yes,
it really is existential crisis.
It is.
I understand that. It's what you said about slaying the monster when it's little, though.
Killing the monster while it's little.
I really like that because maybe there's some ways to coach people in the beginning to help stave off that negative reinforcement they get that when they try to speak and something doesn't go their way. So
it's called transform intuitive thought. I wrote a series of papers that are taught pretty much all over the world in people that do debate. But transform intuitive thought is the minute the negative thought comes into your mind, have a counterbalance thought. So if I say, I can't believe I can't learn, I am learning every day.
Right.
So you teach an interrupting pattern to kill the monster while it's little. Say 10 to 1. One negative thought in your mind requires 10 negative thoughts to replace it. I will learn today. I am learning today. I will be enthused today while learning. So boom, boom, kill the monster while it's little. Slay it. Pound it down and down and down and down. And breathe.
So you're saying with 10 positive.
Yes.
Okay. So I think you said 10 negative. So it's overpower the one negative with 10 positives.
Exactly.
So I think that is a great idea. And it kind of reminds me of something Tom Broussard said when we did my birthday aphasia live. Yeah. He told me, I think one of the problems with how speech therapy happens now is that not enough of it is put on the patient to become the driver, the driving force of the therapy. Because with the health system the way it is, there's not that many sessions. So he feels like maybe speech pathologists could become more enabled to coach people on how to learn, and how to continue to move forward.
I completely agree. And I believe there's more
novel. I think that's a novel idea for, because that's not how we teach students. We do teach them person-centered and evidence-based practice, which includes an informed patient. And we do teach them to look for things that students are, that the people with aphasia are most interested in, most motivated to do, what matters to them, what their priorities are, and what would be most useful. But what we don't do is teach them how not to need us.
Well, I have my own thoughts about that, but anyway.
My husband too, but he uses psychotherapy as the example. He's like, they don't want you to get better, they want you to keep coming. But
the best way that you can be rewarded as a teacher is to teach so well that you make yourself irrelevant.
I agree. And maybe not everybody does. And maybe, they'll oust me from every professional organization. But
we'll start a new revolution.
But I think that Tom has a really good point, and you too, that we need to come in there and teach the skills for them to teach themselves so that they can continue on. And maybe they come back for a refresher in 6 months or something like that.
I believe they will come back more often when you make yourself irrelevant. They will want the next layer.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well,
and I think that's a novel approach. It hasn't, that hasn't taken off in any way.
Well, they used to go across the United States in a covered wagon.
That's true.
So we have a lot of work to do. And Carolyn, if you don't mind me calling, you have so many initials at the
Carolyn, is perfect.
I know, but I wanted to tell you, I really appreciate you. Oh, we need to read Sharon's comment.
Oh yeah. What? Uh-oh. Am I in trouble, Sharon?
Let me see. Sharon said, that's a lot to read. I don't read well.
Another excellent point. SLPs, speech language pathologists, can provide tools and strategies for people to be in charge of their own recovery. Ah, you like it. Thank you. Treatment should not be a black box wherein people don't know why they're doing what you're asking them to do and helping to plan their own work. Yes.
Yes. That's what I said. Oh, that was so amazing.
Thank you. I'm so glad you think so too, because I mean, Sharon does such really interesting work. You know, her love is like people with aphasia and dogs. And you know what this smart woman did? She got a grant from the government to teach people with aphasia how to train dogs. She did.
You can you make the introduction? I would love to have you on the show with Carolyn and watch that.
Oh, no. You interview Sharon all on her own. I will make the introduction. Sharon, you guys are introduced, but I'll make the formal introduction.
I would love that. I would love that.
And I think it's brilliant because one of the things we know is that people feel less intimidated with people with aphasia to speak to kids and animals. And so if you have either one at home, it is great to talk to them all the time. But Sharon got actual grant money to show that this is an effective way to improve the lives of people with aphasia.
Wow. That's amazing. So, Carolyn, I hate to go, but I have another show coming up.
Okay, she says yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I can't wait. You have, you know, if I get to interview you, I'm going to have to find out from Carolyn all the things I don't know. Oh,
she's amazing.
I really appreciate you, Carolyn.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. And everyone here obviously appreciates everything you're doing. You are an inspiration, just like Tom was for you. You're an inspiration for a bunch of other people. And I'll do whatever you need. If you need help, I think that'll be a great project.
We got to get together. We need to talk between our shows. So this
in a
week,
good way.
This week, okay? This week we're going to schedule a show. So as I always say, you are someone special because you are, and you were destined to be great. God doesn't sponsor any flops or
flip-flops.
Laura made that famous.
I know.
And she had a pin on her jacket today. Flip-flop. I couldn't believe that.
I have a key.
Boom. And you were destined to be great from birth, and go be great. And hope is on the way, and I really appreciate you. So bye for now, and to my audience, give a sitting ovation to Dr. Carolyn Falconer. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hang on. Don't hang up.